Good afternoon, guys. Happy Thursday. Welcome back to Bald Father Bets. So we're going to take a look at the Thursday night football game tonight, make a play on that, review the plays that we've already made in the community posts for this upcoming weekend, as well as add two more plays for this weekend here in this video that we have not posted yet. But first, let's do a little recap of what we had on Monday night for the doubleheader of Monday Night Football, where we had the Commanders plus 7.5 for 1 unit. We had the Jags plus 6 for 2 units. And then we made a halftime bet on the Bengals minus 5.5 for 1 unit. So Commanders obviously won outright, got that win there. The Jags got destroyed. That was a loss, so 1 and 2. And then with our halftime bet, the Bengals did not cover the minus 5.5, so they would have had to have lost by 2 or less. And obviously, they did not with that incredible throw on third down from Jaden Daniels to McLaurin in the corner of the end zone. Sometimes you just tip your cap because that is probably in the top 10 throws that you will see all season this year. Pressure in his face, delivers it literally in the only spot that only his guy can get it. Defender can't get a hand in there, right in the corner of the end zone. And Jaden Daniels looks pretty incredible so far to start his NFL career. So hats off to the Commanders. That brought us to 1 and 3 on the evening, where we are then 85, 55, and 1 on the year. So looking to continue that positive momentum into the rest of this week. So starting with tonight, Thursday Night Football, we have the Giants against the Cowboys, and that is not New York, it's in New Jersey. They don't play in New York. And the line is at 5.5 or 5, depending on the book. So again, whichever way you're leaning, make sure you get the best line for your favor. We are going to be taking the Giants plus the 5.5, and that's going to be for 2 units. Really concerned with what we're seeing out of the Cowboys' run defense. There's a couple of plays that you can see against New Orleans that it was specifically, there's one that I'll point out, but there's others that are exactly the same. Against New Orleans, down on the goal line, there's a handoff to Kamara. He goes left pylon. The offense is essentially set up to the right side. The defense lines up to not have anyone to guard the left side because of the shift that's on the offensive line and the tight ends. And then Kamara goes untouched right to the left pylon for a touchdown. The very first touchdown play for the Ravens, where Lamar scampers to the left, it's the exact same thing, except quarterback runs it in instead of running back. And they are really just not gap sound right now in their run defense. And the Giants have been running the ball with Singletary quite well. Cowboys can't stop the run and they can't run the ball. And when a team can't stop the run and they can't run the ball and they're laying points, that's going to be close to an automatic fade from us at Bald Father Bets. Almost always, never say always, but almost always. So we're taking the Giants plus the 5.5 for 2 units, hoping that Daniel Jones can kind of break some of his trends where he gets destroyed by the Cowboys every time. And I believe he has only won 1 evening time game his entire time as a starting quarterback of the Giants. So they need to break those trends, but do not like the Cowboys here and their ability to run the ball or stop the run. And that's why we're taking the Giants plus the 5.5, and that's going to be for 2 units. So then looking at plays that we've already made on the weekend, we'll start with college and move into the NFL. So immediately, we took Kansas State minus the 5.5 for 2 units against Oklahoma State. You can get that line still at 5.5, and you can even get it at 5 at some locations. So if you haven't put that one in, please do. Kansas State, the BYU score doesn't really kind of show everything about that. That's another game where Kansas State was down by 3, and then within 5 minutes they were down by 30. Game got away from them. If you have to throw with Avery Johnson at quarterback and kind of come from behind, they're not really equipped to do that. Like that staff to have them up and ready as a bounce-back game and a home game against Oklahoma State. Like I said last week with the loss to Utah, I've never really been maybe more disappointed in the coaching staff than I was with Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State and the way that they played that game, the decisions, the punts from 50-yard line on 4th and 2s, the pulling Bowman and leaving in the backup quarterback for 20 game minutes, all sorts of things. I do expect a bounce back from Oklahoma State, but ultimately I just don't think it's really going to matter. Oklahoma State cannot run the ball. Kansas State, I think, will be able to run the ball, and so we like Kansas State minus the 5.5 for 2 units. Then we move into the afternoon, where we've also made 2 plays. We have a UCF minus the 14. That's going to be for 1 unit against Colorado. Impact from the hurricane expected in that game. UCF likes to run the rock. Colorado likes to throw it. Colorado has an issue defending the run. UCF has an issue defending the pass. But I think at home and in those conditions, I tend to choose teams that run the ball over teams that pass the ball when there's a matchup that kind of comes out like that. And we like UCF minus the 14 for 1 unit. Also in that afternoon window, we have OU traveling to Auburn. I will be at that game, so I'll probably come at you with a Saturday play video Friday night rather than Saturday morning. We like Oklahoma minus the 2.5 against Auburn for 1 unit. Like the switch at quarterback to Hawkins Jr. to kind of hide the offensive line issues that OU has. Athletic quarterback can kind of take that pressure off the offensive line, and OU's defense is nasty. They held Tennessee to 25 points, absolutely played well enough to get that win. OU's defense has been nasty all year long, and Auburn seems to have some pretty serious issues at quarterback. In their 2 losses, they have thrown 8 interceptions, which usually is an indication that a team is actually better than their record shows. But with Auburn in the quarterback position, not too sure about that. Feel safer with OU coming off of a loss in their first SEC game, knowing how big of a game this is at Auburn. I don't think they may pull the trigger to start Hawkins if they don't see something in him, they're going to give him his first start on the road at one of the most difficult places to play in Auburn. So like OU there, minus the 2.5, and again, that's going to be for 1 unit. Then we're also looking in that 2:30 window, a play that we have not made yet, but we're going to make. We like Notre Dame here, minus the 6 against Louisville. Louisville, they've been a good team. I know people are fading Notre Dame after the loss to Northern Illinois, but this is going to be, I think, a difficult game for Louisville to play. And they have a good defense. I'm concerned about their ability to score and run the ball against Notre Dame's defensive line. Say what you will about Notre Dame's offense and Riley Leonard and all that. Notre Dame's defense has been outstanding all year long, and I expect them to continue to be outstanding, especially against Louisville in this situation. I like Louisville. I like their coach. But I think what you're going to end up seeing on Notre Dame is people are going to sleep on them the rest of the year, and they're probably going to end up having a good season. But at the end of the year, the question's going to be, say you have a Notre Dame team at 11-1, do they deserve to get into the playoff over, say, if Georgia goes 9-3? Say Georgia, between their Tennessee, Ole Miss, Texas, and Alabama games, say they lose 3 of them. Which one of those deserves to get in the playoff? So Notre Dame knows what they have to do. They know they have to win out here, and I like them minus the 6. That's going to be for 1 unit against Louisville. Then moving into the night slot, this is an additional pick. This is not one that we made a community post on yet. Like Penn State minus the 18. Like them minus the 18 against Illinois. We've been on Illinois throughout the year, but I think this is kind of where it comes to an end for them. Penn State tends to kind of dominate teams that are slightly inferior to them. I would say there's a decent enough gap here between Penn State and Illinois that there could be a blowout in order here. This is a night game in Happy Valley because the tragedy that is Big Noon Kickoff did not pick this game, thank God. So Penn State actually has the opportunity to play a night game with the whiteout and one of the best traditions in college football that due to the worst broadcast presentation in all of sports, Big Noon Kickoff, has not been able to come into effect in some of their big games in recent years. So night game, NBC, Penn State, Happy Valley, whiteout, we like them against Illinois, minus the 18. And then we move into the game of the week, Georgia, Alabama, and we already made a community post on this one as well. We like Georgia minus the 1.5, and we're taking that for 5 units. I don't think you can get it at 1.5 anymore, so hopefully you guys got that when it came out. I think you should be comfortable taking it anything up to 2. Difference between 2 and 1.5 is a push, not a loss, so everything should be fine there, and you can still get it at 2. It's kind of flirting between 2.5 and 2 at multiple bucks. Revenge factor here is one of the biggest things. The head coach for Alabama not knowing the book on Kirby is another one of the biggest things. I do not like fading DeBoer. That guy's a winner, and he tends to cover when he's an underdog in big games. I think this one is a little bit different, especially Georgia coming off of a lackluster game against Kentucky, and then the opportunity that they've had to be kind of coached up. Both of these coaches are excellent when they have a bye week in between. They get 2 weeks to prepare. But Kirby has not lost a game with having 2 weeks to prepare since 2018. So I like Georgia here. I like their offensive line. I like Carson Beck. And I'm a little concerned with Alabama in terms of their ability to actually move the ball down the field. They've scored on big plays. Ryan Williams has been amazing, but they haven't really ran the ball. They haven't really methodically moved the ball downfield. And I think this game against Georgia is where it gets caught up, is where it catches up with them. So Georgia minus the 1.5. We're taking that for 5 units. Again, one of the biggest games of the year. We're going to go big on it. Like I said, at Bald Feather Bets, we're going to give you games that you actually want to watch. I'm not going to give you FCS plays because at the end of the day, who cares? So then moving into Sunday, we are looking at a few games that we have already played, and then a Monday night as well that we've already played. We got the Jaguars. It hit the +7. I put out a community post as soon as that hit. So we have Jaguars +7 against Houston Texans. Jaguars have been absolutely terrible. They've cost us units the past 2 weeks. However, Texans have also silently not been amazing. They won that opening game. They won the game against the Bears as well, but they did not look good last week against the Vikings, and in none of these games have they been incredible. I think a lot of people kind of forget with all the hype on the Texans that, hey, they needed a last-second stop against the Colts to get into the playoffs. Yes, they beat the Browns as an underdog, but not shocking at all. Actually, didn't have the channel back then, but Bald Feather Bets, we were on the Texans in that game, and then they got absolutely blown out by the Ravens in their next round. So I know there was this hype that the Texans were a Super Bowl contender coming into the year. Never really thought that. I think C.J. Stroud is incredible. We'll never understand the Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud pick ever, actually. Maybe one of the worst quarterback 1-2 picks I've seen in a while. But the Texans have not been world beaters, and the Jags, an 0-3 team, completely desperate, getting 7 points in a divisional game. We're going to take that for a unit. We took the Chargers plus the 9 for 2 units. Again, I hope that's one that you guys got in when we made the community post, as that's come down now. The Chargers, we got them at the plus the 9 when there's concern about Herbert. Herbert has played through some of the most gruesome injuries that maybe I've seen a quarterback play through. I have almost no doubt that he will be out there against the Chiefs. This is one of the biggest games, and the Chiefs have just not put teams away this year. 9 points is way too many against a Jim Harbaugh coach team, against a Herbert quarterback team, and so we're taking the Chargers plus the 9 for 2 units. And then we move into Monday night, where we have the Detroit Lions minus 3.5, and we took that for 3 units. Like McDonald, like what the Seahawks have done here, but this is a difficult spot for them. They've played some pretty poor competition so far this year. They've been able to get the wins against them. It's positive, happy for them, but the Lions seem to be kind of putting things together. The Ragnow injury is concerning, so if you're someone who wants to wait to place until it's confirmed that Ragnow's playing, but be warned, there's an opportunity that line could shift if Ragnow's confirmed in. It's a partially torn pectoral. He can play with it. It's painful, but Ragnow has played through painful injuries before. The concern here is if it becomes a fully torn pectoral because he's playing, well, then he's lost for the year. With the Lions having kind of Super Bowl aspirations, they're going to have to decide, is it worth it to play him now with the opportunity that he could be gone for the year, or do they need to rest him? But they can't perform surgery on it, or else then he is done. But if it becomes a fully torn pectoral, then he is out for the year either way. So some interesting coaching decisions that they're going to have to make with the medical on Frank Ragnow. But the other thing about this with the Lions is they've quietly had one of the best defenses in the NFL. People have kind of talked about how Jared Goff hasn't played up to his expectations, and he has not. But the defense has played above and beyond expectations. They didn't score any points in the second half, and they won against the Cardinals and covered the spread. I like their chances here against Geno Smith and against the Seahawks team, and I think they will be able to run the ball, which is their identity and what they seem to be kind of getting back to. So we're taking the Lions minus the 3.5 on Monday night, and that's going to be for 3 units. So that's it for us tonight, guys. Happy Thursday. Enjoy Thursday night football. Most likely not making any plays on the Friday night games. The Virginia Tech Miami, I'm not going to lay close to 20 points with the team, but at the same time, I'm not fading Miami. They look pretty unbeatable right now. And that Rutgers line, I wouldn't go against Rutgers, but I'm also not laying 3 points with Rutgers against, well, really anyone. So most likely will not make a play. If there is some sort of indicator that pushes one of those into a play, we'll make either a video or a community post for you guys to let you know. And then again, expect a video Friday night for the Saturday games, either recapping everything we've already placed or adding any games to it that we see fit, if anything tilts into that play column. And then as always, we'll be at you to pick every NFL game on the Sunday slate, and then we'll be at you to pick the other Monday Night Football game, as well as we have another doubleheader coming up this weekend. So if you're betting with us, if you're winning with us, we're having a great year so far, 85, 55, and 1. Please subscribe, make sure your notifications are on. Check that you are subscribed. A lot of you maybe think you are, but you're not, because my video is showing up on your feed. But just make sure you're subscribed so you can get those community posts, and like, comment, share, send this to your gambling community, to your football community, and let's continue to grow this and continue to win, and let's have some fun with it, guys. So I appreciate it. Happy Thursday, and enjoy Thursday night football. Go Giants.